I've always considered myself an expressionist, obviously. I use paint, color within the paint to express myself in a figurative way. I'm real interested in the artists of the early 20th century and also artists from today. There's a lot of expressive artists out there today. So I look at a lot of art, and these paintings that are in here, they go through different transformations, and they'll get repainted and painted again until I'm happy with them.
So some canvases could have how many paintings beneath? Or
some paintings could have 10 canvases or 10 paintings underneath, and they could be stay in my studio for 5 years. Others, it might get done in one shot, and I'll just leave it directly on the canvas on the first shot, first canvas.
How often does that happen?
That's a good question. I would say probably a third of the time. Most of the time, they're getting painted over and over. So,
do you feel like that there's the lives of the other images and pieces beneath it? Because it almost feels like when you have a piece that's got layers and layers of something underneath it.
That there.
First of all, is it thicker?
Yeah, right.
It's for sure thicker.
Yeah, yeah. And there's an artist who talks about his drawings in this way, and he calls them it's a history. Mm-hmm. There's a history underneath the work,
neat.
And so. With the bumps and the lines, and if I collage something to a piece, it creates a history. So yes, I think there is something underneath it that affects the final piece. So like this piece, I had it in my studio for at least 5 years, and I did it in one shot. These figures across the frieze of figures. I call it the bathers.
Mm. Again, do you feel like you have periods of color? Because sometimes, like the piece I have of yours, the two of them that I have are the really muted tones, which I hardly see in here at all.
Yeah, that was I go through periods, I think like any artist does, and they usually might last for a couple years, where it might be just painting in like tonalities, mm-hmm. in one color with tonalities. And then it might be using a lot of color. And I've been using a lot of color for a while now. And I've been painting in a different way too. I mean, they're always expressive. They're always, in a sense, gestures. They're not detailed. They're just filling in the space with color and form. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've been going through this process. So I've been looking at a lot of the old master paintings by Kronk, German. I get my art history right. Lucas Kronk was at the time from I believe the Netherlands during the 1500s, late 1500s. Tintoretto or Titian are other artists that I've been looking at. A lot of the old masters, Renaissance artists. So I'll get into a deal where I'll be looking at a lot of different artists, and then I take it into my own expressive mode. And it's just a starting point. It's just always a beginning point for me. Mm-hmm. I don't want the work to look at all like the original piece, really. It's just a beginning point.
Can you show me real quick the piece that you were appropriating from this one? Because you were referencing at one point?
This is in a very small way this.
Ah, okay. Yeah, bring it up a little closer so I can see here. Uh-huh.
Get rid of that hand.
Yep. Cool. Awesome.
Give away my secrets.
Hey, you can have knowledge, but to do what you do... Okay, all right, here's the other thing. Who paints with the tip of the... Is that something? I mean, again, is that something...
Racine actually ran. They own Chevoulet's, the glass artist.
Right.
Have you ever seen his drawings?
Yes, actually, I have. But
Aren't they awesome?
they're awesome.
He uses, have you ever watched him
No.
on his video?
No.
He's always flipping paint out of the tubes, and he's someone who, I mean, it just sticks in the back of my mind. I don't think about him at the time, you know. I just do anything to try and get the job done, you know.
So the other thing you did was you pulled off the image and you got it wet.
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Well, that creates like this history that I was talking about. So, like even at this point, I wouldn't necessarily be afraid to wash this piece off. And it's so, actually I like how hot it is in here.
Uh-huh.
The hotter the better for me, because then the paint dries faster, and then when I wash it off, it leaves a residue of whatever's underneath it. Now, I don't always do that. More and more I've been just painting the image. I don't use it in a different way.
Well, the first time that I saw you do something, now that's not, what is that?
Well, see, this is a drawing. And
Yeah,
this is a drawing that was painted, was drawn,
Oh, God, that's
was
beautiful.
painted, and then it was washed off.
So
So-
you painted it, or you drew?
I drew it with the charcoal.
Yeah.
charcoal,
Okay.
And then I painted it, and then I let it get to a point where I wanted to wash it off. I let it dry, and I was kind of watching it, and I never know exactly how it's going to turn out. And then I take it over to the sink and wash it off. And then I decide if I want to keep it, if I don't want to keep it, if I want to paint on it the next day or not paint on it.
Do you like that one?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
thanks.
That's amazing. So yeah, okay. So the first time years ago when I photographed you, you took the head of the fricking garden nozzle.
Yeah.
You were spraying it at jet mode, and you were just. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And then you took the nozzle tip and you were scratching and painting with the nozzle tip of the hose.
Well, I'll tell you, I lost that studio. Any artist will say this, that their work environment is part of the creative process. Now I don't have access. I can wash it off. I don't have like a power spray. I was leaking water down in the basement, so I got yelled at. So I have to be more careful, unfortunately.
That's never a good thing.
No.
We don't like to be too careful.
No.